Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Happy Family Life Creations. Today, we are about to share a very special cake recipe. This was basically done for an anniversary of our friends and wanted to share with you. It's a very moist carrots and dates cake recipe. It's a tea time cake done with beautiful carrots grated and delicious warm dates. So let's get started. So I'm just starting to lightly grease and dust our cake tins. I have aluminum ones of 8 inches, 2 of them. You can go ahead and use a bigger one, a square one, rectangular, your choice. Then I'm going ahead and using 2 cups of wheat flour. We can use the white flour, the all-purpose flour, but I'm preferring to use the wheat flour. And along with that, so I'd prefer to sieve the flour so that there's no lumps. It's much more easier. Next, we have some dried spices. This is nutmeg and cinnamon, dried ginger powder. And then we have some cardamom, green cardamom powder. Then baking powder, 2 teaspoons. And then we have 1 teaspoon of baking soda powder. We're going to just add them all together at once to the sifted flour, which I've also added 1 teaspoon of salt to it. So give that all a good mix. Still all the dry ingredients are incorporated, and now we move on to the wet ingredients. So this is some powdered sugar with some cloves. You can use white granulated sugar, but I'm using coconut sugar. And you can reduce or increase the amount and the type of spices you use. And along with this, we are going to add 1 cup of unflavored oil. I'm using just canola oil. You can use in this place also melted butter. Or a mix of both, but I prefer to use just flavorless oil because that gives the cake a nice moistness. And then just mix them all together. Right now I'm adding a few tablespoons of dark brown sugar. This is totally optional. I just want to have more color and a little more sweetness to the cake batter. So just give that all a good whisk. Maybe I just a 1/4 cup of the brown sugar. So meanwhile, we have around 1 whole cup of white granulated sugar with a few tablespoons of regular water. We're going to caramelize this to a golden amber color. This is basically done for all the fruit cakes or this kind of brown cakes. So this is a very crucial step. We should not stir it if you do not know how the step goes on. So this is basically to be done untouched, and it'll become a caramel golden color after a few bubbles, and I'll show you along the way. So this is the caramelizing first step. Like you can see the vigorous bubbles coming around. So this reduces to a very gentle bubble and then to a kind of foamy texture when it comes to the golden amber color, which we need to reach at that stage when we add the water. Now you can see the step of the sugar has become a lighter brown color, and the bubbling has reduced to a much more slow intensity of the bubbles. It become very slow in and finally it's becoming into the frothy stage, and you can swirl it around a couple of times without touching with a spoon. Because the reason why I tell you, if you go along with the spoon, I'm sure most of you know it. As you can see, it did crystallize on the sides. So yeah, pretty much all golden amber color, and then we go on to the next step. So at this stage we off the flame, and now we add 1 cup of, I prefer hot boiling water. So be very careful at this step because the caramel or the hot sugar will definitely get splashing on top of you. So be doing it in a very far distance, and then just give it a good whisk and take it to the heat and get that all melted once again, and you have your beautiful caramel syrup ready to be put into the cake batter for the color. So now we keep adding 4 eggs one at a time. Make sure not to do it all together so that we can do it one at a time, so that it's all well incorporated and mixed well, and nicely whisk it in. As this is another one of the most important steps. We do not over mix it, the cake batters, because it becomes tough and dense. So very carefully just keep adding each egg one at a time. At this step you can add some orange zest or lemon zest. I added a few orange zest which I had made homemade after taking the peel off and drying it and then powdering in the mixer. You guys may be wondering whose little hand is that? That's my 2.5-year-old Ivana. She wanted to help me out in whisking the batter. So the chopped dates, this is just pitted dates, around 250 to 300 grams almost. And I'm adding some chopped nuts also. This is totally optional. This is cashew nuts and almonds. You can use your option of nuts. So I'm going to give that all together and add 1 tablespoon of the regular flour along with it. So this step is basically done so that the dry fruits doesn't get stuck to the bottom of the cake batter when you add it into the cake tin, and it now we move on to the next step of adding the dry ingredients. Not all at once. We basically do it in batches, so we don't have any lumps, and do it very gently along with the brown caramel syrup so that the consistency stays in a smooth way. So we do this in a batches of the dry mix, like around 3 to 4 times, and the caramel syrup. So now gently fold this. At this step be very careful, and now we're adding around 2 cups or 2.5 cups of grated orange carrot, and if it's possible please be sure to squeeze out the excess water of the carrots along with the dry fruits which we had mixed before, just little by little, and then we just gently fold them in. So I might be moving on to a bigger bowl because this is going to be a little much extra to work in the small bowl. So as you can see, I've shifted to a bigger mixing bowl and giving them all of the ingredients with the dry fruits and the carrots together, a very good, very delicate mix. And if you feel it's a bit thick, I'm going to prefer to use a couple of tablespoons of orange juice. You can use lemon or orange or any kind of citric juice, just to give an additional flavor to the cake, and this also gives it a moistness to it. Finally, pour half of it to one 8-inch tin and the other to the second one, basically to half of the tin, so that because it's going to rise anyway, and just tap it once or twice on the counter table so that any air bubbles on the top of it will be taken away from that. So So I'm just garnishing the top of it with a few more cashews just for the look of it. And so this will go into a preheated oven of 180 degrees, that is 360 to 370 degrees Fahrenheit, for a good amount of 35 to 40 minutes. And you can just test it with a skewer. So we'll see that. This is the final product. The cake came out just fine, and I just did some frosting with cheese, cream cheese frosting. It was for, as I told you, it was for a gift or an anniversary cake for our neighbors. So I just did some cream cheese with whipped cream and just frosted like this. Hope you guys like it, and please do try. So my dear friends, if you're liking our video, do hit that bell icon and subscribe to our channel, share with your friends and follow us. We would be more than happy. Thank you.